NBC San Diego News presents NBC 7 Responds.
I am livid. I'm really upset.
She ordered new luggage for a family vacation to mark her dad's milestone birthday, but says all she got was the runaround until she contacted NBC 7 Responds.
You managed to cut through the chaos.
A consumer alert about a growing scam that has criminals shifting their tactics to steal your money.
He could see I had a Ring camera on my front door, so he never came in view of the camera.
Plus, playing the stock market in high school, what's driving more teens to invest.
It really doesn't make sense to wait.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Monica Dean.
And I'm Sergio Flores.
We begin with a National City woman who was determined not to allow a complete stranger to enjoy a 6-night vacation in London on her dime.
No way, no how, she told me, but she needed NBC 7 and Telemundo 20 response help to keep it from happening. You see, she was blindsided by a charge to her credit card halfway around the world.
It was a luxury hotel, one that I've never seen before, overlooking the water, beautiful place.
Addie Smith from National City is referring to a luxurious 6-night stay at a London apartment-style hotel with all types of fancy amenities. It was booked in February with her credit card for more than $1,600. But there's a problem. Addie says she never made this reservation. She wouldn't be able to afford it, but she does remember getting a text alert about it.
Are you trying to book a trip? And I responded by saying no.
That's the end of that, she thought. But later that night, she says the $1,600 charge kicked in anyway.
You have a feeling of hurt that somebody has violated your privacy, and I was angry. I immediately got on the phone to Capital One to let them know someone had charged on my credit card. Right. And I said, "Can you reverse that charge?" And he said yes.
That's the end of that, she thought, for the second time. But a few weeks later, this letter from Capital One told her they investigated and found insufficient evidence of fraud. So she had to pay for that stay in London after all, to which she said nope.
Because I am not paying for someone else's having a luxury vacation.
Addie says she filed a police report and did some digging of her own. She sent this certified letter explaining that not only has she disputed the charge since that first alert, but the email address used for the trip was not hers, nor was it associated with her credit card, and that she's never been outside of the United States and in fact could prove she was at work during those days of the trip.
And I'm trying to explain to them, I can't be in two places at one time. And it's only me that lives here. And I have not given my credit card to anyone.
She waited 2 weeks for a response. And when that didn't happen, she says she crossed her fingers and called Capital One.
And I said, "Did you receive it?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "And?" He said, "There's nothing I can do. The case is closed."
She didn't know what else to do, she says, but what she was not going to do was pay that bill.
Because if I had made a payment, that would have given them the impression that, yes, this was my charge.
This is when she called NBC 7 Response.
I remember seeing a couple of your segments, and I said, okay, let me reach out to them.
We contacted Capital One to find out more about Addie's claim and why it was denied. They never explained what happened. But about a week later, they emailed us saying, "We have looked into the matter and the individual has been made whole." Addie says the person who stole her credit card information likely had a great time in London, but it was not on her dime.
You did a great job. I appreciate it so much because now I can smile and not be mad all the time.
Aww.
And it's hard to imagine her mad all the time, right?
Such
She's
a
such a
sweet
delightful lady. Yeah, you know, and Addie also wants to give a shout out to AARP for advising her throughout all this claim process.
Well, and thanks to you and your team, would you advise people not to make a payment like that? I mean, she had this reservation. I'm not going to pay it because that admits ownership to the charge.
Monica, that could be risky because, you know, you're messing with your credit. Now, Addie did say that she was not planning on any big financial purchases that she would need to finance. So, therefore, she could afford, she said, to not make those payments. And whatever happened to her credit, happen to her credit
Okay.
until she fought this.
She rolled the dice and didn't have to pay in the long run. Okay, Sergio, NBC 7 and Telemundo 20 Response is such a great resource for our viewers. We know how frustrating it is when you can't get a company to make good on a promise.
Yeah, and my teammate, Tanya Lubiano-Hurwitz, is here to walk us through two recent cases where we helped put an end to a due date dilemma and wash away troubles after a costly trip to the car wash.
That's right. We all know how frustrating it is when companies promise something, then for whatever reason, don't follow through. That's what happened with Cesar and Carolina from San Diego. They are members of Superstar Car Wash. Carolina took their car through the wash, but says the rails failed, causing her to hit the car in front of her, damaging her bumper. The car wash gave her this piece of paper claiming responsibility. It instructed her to get 2 repair estimates and email them in. She did just that, but never heard back. Cesar visited the car wash in person to ask about it, but said he wasn't able to get any answers. So they contacted NBC 7 Response. We reached out to the car wash, and Cesar and Carolina finally got their check for nearly $3,000. Superstar didn't explain what happened, but sent us a statement saying in part, "We are very grateful for their safety and remain committed to maintaining the highest standards of services, care, and safety across all of our locations." Now to that due date dilemma. Ruben from San Marcos contacted us after he says Lending Club promised to change the payment due date on his loan, but didn't, leading to late payment penalties. Well, he told us he called several times and spent hours on the phone trying to sort it out on his own. We contacted Lending Club and they told us they couldn't give us details about what happened due to privacy, but said, "We appreciate you bringing this matter to our attention." After reviewing further, our consumer advocacy team connected with the customer and worked to resolve their concerns. We checked back in with Ruben the following month and he confirmed the due date had finally been changed. Now, we can't promise results for everyone, but we are always happy to take a look at your issue and see if it's something we can help with. Tanya Lubiano-Hurwitz, NBC 7 Response.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. And if you have a story or issue you need our help with, go to our website at nbc7.com/response. There's a form you can fill out there to get in touch with us.
And Sergio, your team does much more than just help people recover their money. You also help get the word out about scams making the rounds so that we can all better protect ourselves.
Yeah, and one thing we're hearing here in San Diego County is how scammers are changing tactics and picking up money in person, which is a scary thought. I'm thinking about my mom and dad right now. And I sat down with District Attorney Summer Stephan to talk about why scams seem to be getting bolder in our county.
Carlsbad police say the man walking to the car is a scam courier wanting to pick up $20,000 from his elderly victim. But as he walks away with the money, he sees he's being followed and takes off running. He would soon be surrounded by police and handcuffed. It was a sting operation.
The courier scam is the #1 scam.
District Attorney Summer Stephan told NBC 7 Response that banks and stores are better at pushing back on scams that involve wire transfers, crypto, and gift cards. So criminals shifted their tactics.
They now come to your home and actually pick up the money. Couriers that come from Los Angeles mostly, and what that means is they actually arrive at the victim's home, and that's very frightening.
You take the money out and we'll redeposit it.
In November, we reported how an Oceanside veteran handed $24,000 in cash to a man he thought was an agent from his bank trying to help him with a compromised account.
And the guy was smart. He could see I had a Ring camera on my front door, so he never came in view of the camera.
And in March, NBC 7 Response showed you how a San Diego police senior volunteer handed $35,000 to a man he thought was a federal agent. Police are looking into whether the man who took his money is connected to the man arrested by Carlsbad police.
They are multiple cells, but they are definitely part of organized crime. So every time we've caught a courier, we do our investigation through the Elder Justice Task Force. We go through their phone, their connections.
According to the DA, most scams start overseas, and the local couriers are not just hired to pick up cash.
Because money can be potentially traceable, they now ask seniors to convert the money to gold bars sometimes. The latest scam, they actually pick up the actual ATM card of the victim.
And listen to this. Local seniors reported $140 million in losses to scams just in 2025. And the consequences can be devastating, especially for seniors who lose their life savings.
We've had seniors tell us they've considered ending their life because they don't want to be a burden on someone else in their family.
Which is why these police sting operations are crucial, she says, to push back hard against the increase of courier scams operating in our county.
And the DA said the scams that involve couriers can have different narratives, but typically they begin with a computer error popping up on your PC or as some sort of trouble with your bank account that requires you to withdraw money.
Oh, so concerning. Okay, more to come. She ordered suitcases that she says were delivered damaged, and her demands for a refund ended with her getting kicked out of a popular online shopping platform. How NBC7 responds, helped, coming up.
From TikTok to trading apps, investing has become part of teenage culture. NBC7 Response looks at the risks and the rewards.
And a local man wishes his bank had done more to stop him from unknowingly sending his life savings to a scam. Next, a closer look at why banks are struggling to protect all of us at a time when scammers are ramping up their game.
NBC San Diego News presents NBC7 Response.
Welcome back. A local retiree is drowning in debt after sending his life savings to what ended up being an international investment scam. And he wishes his bank had done more to stop him or at least slow him down, Sergio.
Yeah, Monica, you know, banks say that's a real challenge because how can they break that spell of a scam without, and this is important, taking away their clients' control over their own money? Well, banks, technology, and legislation may have to come together to pull it off.
The books in his escondido home speak to a long life well lived, but his golden years just went very dark.
It took years to get to where I was. And to think in 6 months, it's all gone.
Broken and ashamed is how 77-year-old Tom says he feels, and that's why he wanted us to hide his identity. You see, he sent a total of $177,000 over a period of 6 months to what turned out to be a well-orchestrated international investment scam.
I do legitimate business online with India and Poland, so she must have found my trail somehow online.
Now, we won't get into the scam details. Just know that his preliminary research made him believe it was real, and eventually he just couldn't walk away from it.
If you pulled out now, you'd lose all that you have invested. So the pressure was on to see this through.
Now that the money is gone, Tom looks back and sees all the red flags screaming at him during those 6 months, and he wishes Chase Bank would have picked up on them too.
Before this, my monthly transactions were just minimal.
And then pushed harder to protect his money from himself.
Then it would have prompted me more likely than not to investigate further.
Chase Bank wouldn't talk to us about this case, but told NBC7 Response, quote, "Our branch staff is trained to detect and assist customers who are potentially being scammed. They are there to help and have customers' best interest at heart." Tom admits that a teller did warn him once that he was potentially sending money to a scam.
Sort of in passing. And I said, it's for a business that I'm engaged in, and this is payment for supplies. And she just more or less said, oh, okay. And that was that, once.
But it was nothing, he says, like what San Diego County Credit Union did when his partner tried to send him money so that they both could keep pumping more into the fake investment.
Branch manager called her in the office for a long talk and asked her, what's this about? Why? Are you sure? Tell us more. She was there for maybe 20 minutes. Interrogation.
Our customers sometimes feel that they're being interrogated. It's my money. What are you doing? I can do whatever I want with that. But the prevalence of online scams is huge.
Nathan Schmidt says it's tricky for banks to balance frictionless banking with scam protections. He says SDCCU leans more to the latter, like this 2-page questionnaire, even if it means holding up banking activities.
What people don't realize is once the wire is gone, they have sent that money and it's very difficult to get it back.
He admits account holders are not always happy to jump through all these hoops, as some call it.
How was that making you and her feel, for that matter?
At the time, annoyed at the time.
If you want to stop all fraud payments, just stop payments. Just don't allow it.
Sharel Barshishat from BioCatch is, of course, joking, but we get his point.
BioCatch in real time collects over 3,000 distinct behavioral parameters per session. And we use that to calculate through a machine learning model whether or not the session that we're seeing right now is something that's most likely to be a scam versus not likely to be a scam.
And the moment their system detects a scam likely manipulating a client, it immediately fires off alert messages to the account holder with the details of what may be going on.
So these tailored messaging gets you to try to break the spell in that given moment.
BioCatch says banks will always need dedicated teams focused on preventing scams, and behavioral technology helps them to fight back, even when the account holder may not want them to.
So the bank can say, nope, we know that this is bad. We're going to stop this payment. We know that this is going to, amount to a scam. Or what they'll do is kind of put it into a holding period or a cool-off period.
Protection over friction is what Tom says he wishes would have been his banking experience each time he sent money to that well-orchestrated investment scam.
I've got to find work now to compensate. I mean, there is no retirement.
When it comes to state law, California mandates financial institutions to notify Adult Protective Services when it suspects a scammer is taking advantage of a senior citizen account holder. Legislative efforts to require banks to do more than that have failed to become law. So it's really up to each bank to set their own protections.
My heart just breaks for him and for stories like this that you do. If there's one piece of advice that you would have for people, what would it be?
Monica, I think that would be to have trust in somebody. No matter what they're telling you over the phone, no matter what the scammer might be saying about a reason why you should not trust anybody, go to your bank teller. If you have a relationship with your bank teller for such a long time, go ahead and reach out to them. They'll be able to let you know if something's legitimate or not.
Check with the bank. All right, thank you. More teenagers are learning about stocks, investing, and personal finance years before they can even open a brokerage account of their own.
Yeah, and NBC and Telemundo 20 Response, Tania Lubano-Hurwitz looks at the risks and at the rewards.
At 16 years old, most teenagers are thinking about homework, sports, or getting the driver's license. But for Lucas Schock, checking the stock market has already become part of his daily routine. He's part of a growing trend among Gen Z and younger millennials. But what's driving these young investors? Take a look.
For me, it really started more out of curiosity.
Young investors today have something previous generations didn't: instant access.
Robinhood, as well as accounts like Fidelity and Schwab, a lot of brokerage accounts have online platforms that make it easy, especially on your iPhone.
Apps that allow young investors like Lucas to buy fractional shares with just a few dollars.
So I really started with $50, so really small, but even with that foundation, I started to add more and more as I started to learn more.
Lucas, with his parents' consent, started investing in the stock market 4 years ago when he was just 12. He tells me investing no longer feels like something reserved for Wall Street professionals.
It really doesn't make sense to wait. The math actually works in your favor because the more time you have, the more your money can grow over time.
At the same time, Lucas says a lot of Gen Zers feel financial pressure is arriving earlier too, with concerns about inflation, housing costs, and future debt.
I think a lot of adults tend to think that we're too young to start learning these things, and I'm an advocate of early investing and early financial literacies.
Lucas, a 10th grader at Cathedral High School, runs the Finance Club.
What if I told you that money can grow the same way?
Had the opportunity to give a talk on the TEDx platform for the school's TEDx event. and started a student-led initiative called the Foundations of Finance Project and runs financial literacy workshops in schools across the county.
Kids are starting to become more interested in finance and investing, and these things aren't always taught in their regular classrooms.
California lawmakers recently approved a requirement that all public and chartered high schools offer a standalone personal finance course by 2027-2028 school year. Topics include budgeting, taxes, credit saving, and investing. But with so many stocks, how can a young investor make a decision on where to put his money? Lucas advised, invest in what you like, in what you use every day.
Like your iPhone, put it into Apple instead of maybe buying that newest iPhone, or Nike instead of always buying those newest shoes. And with that, you're going to see the return on investment is much greater.
Staying informed about the stock market is crucial, says Lucas, who uses social media or YouTube to have an idea on how or where to invest next, but always backs it up with his own research. Do you think that Gen Z views money different than older generations?
People in Gen Z are trying to build more wealth at an early age as to maybe taking more traditional pathways. I've seen a lot of things like e-commerce and day trading, and I think a lot of these stem from the fact that you can learn it quickly and that there is potential to make a lot of money.
For Lucas, investing isn't about becoming rich overnight. He says it's about learning financial independence early and preparing for a future his generation believes may be more uncertain than the one their parents faced. Tanya Lugana-Hurwitz, NBC7 Response.
Okay, Tanya, thank you very much. You know, a La Jolla woman says she could not believe it when she was kicked out of what she calls the Amazon ecosystem after demanding a refund for luggage she reported as delivered damaged to her home.
Yeah, so she says at one point she did get her refund, but then it was later rescinded. And Sergio, that is when she reached out to you for help.
Yeah, Monica, she shared with me tons of messages she had with different reps. And at one point, it seemed like everything was taken care of until, well, it wasn't. And she ended up losing access to her account.
I heard it was someone's birthday.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It was such a wonderful surprise Sunny Cleo had for her parents on a cruise last month.
Like quality time with my dad is hard to get, and he's a reticent man.
Happy birthday to you.
Dad just turned 70, and since they live in the UK and she lives in La Jolla, moments like these are rare and very, very special.
And I'm pulling out all the presents and the hat that I got for him and the balloons. And I'm trying to make it, fun.
And they did have fun, a boatload. However, there was a different undercurrent of emotions behind Sunny's smile.
I am livid. I'm really upset.
She had just been kicked out of her Amazon account after a couple of months and countless messages of trying to get refunded for 2 motorized rideable suitcases she ordered and were delivered damaged, she says.
Scratched and dented and missing like half the handle. There's wires poking out, and I just think, okay, this is crap, but it's a mistake.
Sunny returned the first one. The other one arrived 4 days later.
And it's also like scuffed and damaged and broken up in a different way. And I'm kind of bemused because it's unusual to have this happen twice.
Now, imagine her bemusement when a week later, both replacements also arrived damaged, she says. Amazon told her she would be refunded and that she didn't have to return the luggage. She reluctantly agreed, she says, frustrated with how she kept getting unusable suitcases over and over again.
And I'm not someone who lets things go, Sergio. Like, I really was like mad. It's not the end of the world. Like, I accepted, okay, whatever, done.
Now, fast forward a few weeks to day 1 of the cruise with Mom and Dad.
I have an email from Amazon saying that they're charging me again for the suitcases. The refund has been rescinded, and the recharge is more than I initially paid.
What followed were many more messages with different reps as she tried to get her refund, refunded again. Eventually, she lost access to her account while it was under review.
Which I assumed meant that they were reading my evidence. I'd been told they'd get back to me within 24 hours, Nothing, 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 nothing. Like weeks go by, 2-3 weeks. I have no access to my account.
Sonny says a friend who NBC7 Response had helped before with another matter suggested she email our team for help.
And she was like, well, there's no harm in trying. And I didn't even think I'd get a response. So I was so glad, Sergio, when you replied to me.
We reached out to Amazon, and less than a week later, Sonny had access to her account again, and a refund was back on her credit card. Amazon told us, quote, "We appreciate NBC7 San Diego for bringing this matter to our attention. Our team has resolved the matter directly with the customer and have apologized for any inconvenience caused." Sonny says she can finally look back and smile at these pictures with her parents on that wonderful cruise without any baggage of a retracted refund weighing her down.
You managed to cut through the chaos. I was just so grateful and really impressed how fast it all happened, honestly.
All right. Again, if you ever need our help with a consumer issue, you can get in touch with us by going to nbc7.com/response. There's a form you can fill out there to let us know what's going on, and we'll do our very best to help you out.
You do a great job.
We
Thank
try.
you, Sergio and the Response team. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching.
Have a great one, and we'll see you next time.